Right, we're recording.
Okay, so where do we start? At the beginning.
Yeah.
Should we introduce
The year was
ourselves?
1978.
Not that far back.
It was
What was it? A warm...
rainy summer's day.
Was it raining when you were born?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's just more fun to think it's raining than it was sunny.
Yeah, well, I reckon that the clouds clashed and the thunder
Exactly,
came down and the rain came down when you
Yeah.
were born.
And then just after lunchtime I popped out.
Anyway, we're not going that far back.
You just said let's go all the way back.
No, we're going back to when we first got together.
Right, this is our first vlog
Hey.
on Mr. and Mrs. What's our channel's name?
Life with the Joneses.
That's the one, Life with the Joneses. So, this is Abby.
Hello.
And I'm Dan. So I've been on YouTube for 10 years.
By me.
Yeah. So I did some vlogging back over those years.
Yeah, I do remember your little vlogs down country lanes.
I used to walk along country lanes with a mobile phone with the camera that only points one way.
Yeah.
So that means you have to turn your phone to face you so that you can't see the screen.
Yeah.
And you walk along with a 240 pixel camera filming yourself and bobbing up and down wildly with every footstep. No image stabilisation, very poor audio, and I'd put it on YouTube. And it would be me seeing cats.
And how many views did you get?
Of those, I don't know. Maybe high hundreds, low thousands.
Was there many people doing similar things?
I didn't know anyone doing it.
Oh.
I just did it because I was sharing what goes on in my head.
Actually,
Or what I saw. So if I saw little slow worms or snakes, I would film them and I'd chase them. If I saw toads, I would film them and chase them. If I saw cats, I would film them and chase them.
and I like seeing the cat videos.
Yeah, you like seeing the cat videos. Or I wouldn't have to chase the cats. They would normally come up to me and wrap themselves around my legs.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to say, no, sorry, I've got to go to work. I've got to be doing work now. If it was a quiet country lane, I'd walk along filming, saying, aren't those bird sounds lovely? So they weren't the most entertaining things, and so I thought, who's going to ever watch these things? Or I'd have an insight and think, oh yeah, let's tell people how to help snorers or something.
Yeah.
So I was vlogging a decade ago, doing that kind of thing. And then I discover nowadays, suddenly people are making lots of money out of this thing that I did a decade ago.
Who'd have thought?
And I gave it up because I thought, who would ever want to watch me talk? They want to be hypnotised. They don't want to hear me talk. So I stopped. You've not really been on YouTube vlogging,
No,
but you
I've
watch
always.
them.
I love watching vlogging channels, really do. But I don't know. I just never really felt comfortable in front of the camera. I always thought I'm the sort of behind the camera person than a in front of the camera person. I much prefer doing my blog. But you know, you've got to try something new. You never know. Practice makes perfect.
Yep. So other things about us. Obviously this is our very first video on this channel.
Yep.
So what we will probably end up doing is in a few years' time we'll be dressed entirely differently. Well, I won't. I'll be dressed exactly
You'll be
the
wearing
same.
exactly the same outfit.
So in theory, if Abby's got her way, we'll both be dressed entirely differently. And we'll look back and laugh and go, oh look how stupid we looked when we did that one, the very first one. Don't look baby-faced
Yeah.
when I'm approaching
No
40 and
wrinkles.
you're approaching,
One grey hair.
well, you're 33.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll probably look back and have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a bit more about us.
Yeah, anyway, let's talk about a bit more about us. So we got together on June the 13th,
Yeah.
2001. I'd been living in Bognor for a while, and my friend at the time, Lauren, hello Lauren, she liked you initially,
Yeah, I don't know why.
and she kept going on and on about you, yet I had no idea who you were. You're just some guy called Dan. Ironically, I knew your best friend Graham from school, but just didn't know that you two were best friends.
Yep.
One day we were in town, and Lauren said, I just had a text from Dan, and he says he's in the pool hall with one of the children that you were looking after at the time in the care home. And she said, let's go find Dan, go say hello. And I was like, oh well, out of curiosity's sake, let's just at least put a face to the name. So off we go to the pool hall, and there I see Dan in the pool hall. I remember you were wearing your black sort of combat type trousers, black sort of slip-on shoes, and black Adidas jumper with the white stripes down the arm.
Yeah, I like black.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you for the life of me what I was wearing, but I can very much remember what you were wearing. And I was like, oh, actually.
I couldn't tell you what you were wearing either.
Well, no, of course you wouldn't. You couldn't tell what I was wearing probably yesterday.
No.
Exactly. And anyway, I saw you and I thought, oh, it's actually quite nice. I quite like the look of this guy. But, you know, my friend's interested in him and, you know, I've never had a proper boyfriend before, so, you know, this is all new to me. Later came out that you told Lauren, very bluntly, as you do, that you liked me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I wanted your contact details so
Yeah.
I can contact you.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is not used to this sort of male attention, this is strange. And we got texting, because those are days when, before FaceTime and all that, we were texting each other. And then we went out one night, didn't we? And we kind of got together.
Mm-hmm.
I'd obviously spoken to Lauren first of all and said, look, I like Dan, and Dan obviously likes me, but I'm not going to do anything because obviously you like him too, and obviously
Yeah,
you're
this is stupid and totally illogical.
I know, but she was my friend and I had loyalty to her, so I didn't want to...
Stupid and illogical, but yes.
Fine.
Carry on.
Anyway, my loyalty, and she was like, do you know what, if you like each other so much, who might stand in the way? So she was being a good friend, and she sort of like said that's fine. So we ended up getting together.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, they say the rest is history, but that was what, now some 16 years
yeah,
ago.
more than 16 years ago.
Yeah, just over 16 years ago. We've been together ever since.
Yeah, didn't get married until 2014,
No,
but it was on June 13th, on Friday the 13th.
just to make it a bit different. But it was an amazing day though, despite that, superstition and all that. It was a beautiful day, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Weather was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And we had all our friends' family around us, and it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I couldn't have cared less about any of that, but yeah.
What did you care about then?
You saying I do.
Okay, well that's...
I didn't care whether your family were there or my family were there or your friends or my friends. None of that was relevant or important. It's a wedding day, it's not their day.
I know, but it's
But
nice
it's
to share
important to you.
Yeah, and it's nice to share that moment with your loved ones, because it's special for them as it is for you.
Don't understand that, but yeah.
Okay, anyway.
It was our day.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it was a lovely day. And here we are.
Hmm.
Some, 3 years later? Yeah, 3 years later.
Yeah.
Still together. I don't know how we put up with each other for so long, but we have. No, I think we're both very laid back, easygoing people, and we very, very argue, do we?
Well, we agree, I think, on the fundamental things pretty much.
We have very common sort of...
So I'm far more blunt
Yeah.
about things
Yeah.
and have
quite assertive.
very rigid views in my head about certain things,
Yeah.
like being off sick and that kind of thing, and
Yeah, you're like...
work ethics
Yeah,
and
you're
things like that.
drag yourself into work and if you're dying sort of attitude.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I've got a sniffle. I don't know if I can
So yeah,
use
so
that.
one example is when I had the flu,
Oh, yeah.
and I just phoned my best friend and said, can you come and prop me up and carry me into work up the road? So I worked about 1.5 miles up the road. So can you just carry me up to work and get me to the front door, and then I'll walk in and sit at my desk and I'll work at my desk all day. And I couldn't really see and I couldn't stand or
you were
anything.
very ill.
And I arrived at work and my manager said, no, I'm going on holiday to Australia in a few weeks' time. I am not having whatever you've got, go home. And my view was, I've got the flu. I'm not dead.
I think you have.
I can physically-
Yeah, but I think it was
I can
physically more than the flu, though.
No, it's just the flu.
No, that was
No,
more-
real flu, that's what it does to you.
No, it doesn't.
Um,
I've never seen anyone be that ill with the flu.
It does.
No.
So my view was, if you can physically make it to your desk and you can kind of force yourself to just about focus on the writing on a computer screen,
Yeah, because
then
you're
you
that
can do some
productive,
work.
aren't you? I've just managed to just about in the last hour write a sentence because I'm that ill.
But if I hadn't gone into work, I wouldn't even written that sentence.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So we do
have
have
slight differences.
Yeah, so we have differences like that, but we don't have differences on, neither of us particularly drinks.
No.
And if we do drink, so I'm more likely to drink than you are.
Yeah.
But if we do drink, or if I drink, it's not to excess, it's not...
No. I mean, I lightweight anyway. It takes
Yeah.
like one drink and I'm on the floor anyway.
But it's not to excess, it's not all the time.
No.
So I might go out with Graham
Yeah.
or something, and might have some drinks with Graham, but I don't drink to excess or anything that causes a disruption to our relationship or anything like that. we don't have like wildly different views on
No.
partying or something. So it's not
No.
like one of us is always out at the
Or
pub
like
or whatever.
you're not really into sport or football or anything like
no,
that.
and then
so
neither are you, so
no.
that makes it easy.
Yeah.
Um,
we're quite quiet sort of people, aren't we? We're quite
yeah, and we both don't like crowds.
Yeah.
So one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that I've got high functioning autism. So I was then diagnosed as an adult a few years ago following a lot of workplace discrimination and finding that was getting me really, really depressed, not knowing what to do about it, getting very depressed about my situation, and then thinking I've got to do something, maybe I can get occupational health support.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of work I've always done, which is kind of care work in some form or another, so whether it's working with families, doing family support work, like social work type stuff, or whether it's working in children's homes, I've always done that kind of work, so I knew about autism, and colleagues had always joked with me, so even before I did that kind of work, my best friend always called me Spock. So pretty much from when we first met each other in the 90s, he would call me Spock, and his middle name's Kirk, so it kind of fit.
Yeah.
And he's very kind of impulsive and always has to be run by his emotions, and is very much like Kirk in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I would then be very logical and irritating to him by being very logical. And so I was always called Spock, and it was just a joke. It was just like, that's the kind of personality I have. So, oh, you're so much like Spock, just thinking logically all the time, and
live long and prosper.
Yeah, being cold and calculated about things, and I didn't know really about. Well, I didn't know at all about autism initially at that point, and then I worked in mental health. Even though it's mental health, there was at least one lad in there who was in there because he had autism, or he was diagnosed with Asperger's, and yet it's not a mental health condition. It's a developmental thing. You're born with it.
Yeah.
It's not like just a mental health. Not that there's just a mental health, but it's not like it's a mental health thing. It's a complete physical thing. And he was in there, and that was my first seeing of it, but I didn't really know anything about it other than having met it, in the same way that I didn't know anything when I started that job about schizophrenia, other than meeting people with schizophrenia. But it was from all the childcare and working in children's homes, and lots of the kids were diagnosed with Asperger's, and so I would regularly have the other staff say, "Oh, you're so much like so and so you are," because of my ways of looking at different things, and I would just laugh it off, thinking, "Yeah, I sort of am. I do think like that. I do have that kind of obsessiveness, or I do this, or I do that, and I do like the same activities as them." And but I would just laugh it off. I never really took it seriously until I was facing discrimination, and you kind of think, I suppose actually a diagnosis, if I do have it, might help. And so that's obviously what I did, and I was out of the job by the time I'd got the diagnosis, because it took about a year from going to see the GP for the first time and finally actually getting a bit of paper it took even longer than a year to get the bit of paper, because the woman that did the diagnosis has to write it all up, and that takes time. So, but I was told in the assessment, literally, Abby came along to the assessment with me. My mum came along. I didn't know if she would or not, but my mum came along to the assessment, and literally as soon as my mum left the room, the woman said, "You've definitely got it, but we're going to do the assessment anyway. We have to go through the motions." So I instantly, being someone that loves science and psychology and things like that, wanted to know what did she notice that made her know that, given that I haven't said anything yet really, other than sitting down and talking with mum present and mum talking. And she knew because of some of what mum had said, but she also knew because she said, so if you ever see any of my videos, or if we do anything filming anywhere else, I know you can see lots of DVDs somewhere here, so you can probably guess that we have collections of things. I've got a few books on things like hypnosis and psychology and stuff, so I've got a bit of an obsession around trying to learn to communicate. And so what the psychiatrist person had noticed was that I've got impeccable communication skills on the largest things like using gestures
Yes.
and things like that. What I didn't have was any facial movements. She said there was no facial expression that goes with any emotion of anything I was talking about. So I didn't have the kind of, oh, I'm surprised by that, or oh, I'm sad by that. I didn't have any of the facial expressions associated. So I'm not good yet, even though I'm always trying to learn and master these things, at mastering faking the right facial expressions to go with what I'm trying to say. So I'm saying fake it. So I'm not faking it in terms of I'm actually happy, but I'm going to pretend to be sad.
Yeah.
I'm faking it in terms of I'm sad, but I don't have the body language to go with that.
Yeah.
So I need to fake the body language. I have to intentionally do the body language.
Naturally, yeah.
So that's what she said she noticed, that I didn't have the subtle body language. What I had was impeccable, overt body language. So that's just another... That's sort of a key bit about me, and something we both said we wanted to share on here was we're a couple. Abby is, I don't like this term, but neurotypical is the term.
What's neurotypical?
It's allegedly normal people, but I don't like that term.
I'm
but
a
if you
normal
read, but if you read books on autism,
Yeah.
they always say neurotypical to mean neurologically normal,
Okay.
and then they say people with autism. Nowadays, Asperger's doesn't exist as a diagnosing term, so you just have autism spectrum disorder, and you're somewhere on that spectrum.